right? And we'll use a blanket for sure. So nothing too unusual today. We're not going to use the balls today. If you have blocks, you can grab them. If you have something to use as a strap, you might just want to have that nearby. Let me grab mine. And we'll begin on our backs in constructive rest pose. So constructive rest pose is when your knees are bent and you're on your back. All right. And in constructive rest, you could take your feet wide and let the knees lean in against one another, kind of like the poles of a teepee. Or you could keep them parallel. It's just that then you're using your inner thigh muscles to hold your legs up. And once you get there, just take a few sighs. Just sigh out your mouth. Just like you're dropping right into your yoga practice. And after you take a few sighs, let's begin to breathe in through the nose really wide. You could even put your hands on your low ribs. And I've been noticing just that when I say that to people, they often put their hands on their belly. So instead of that, coming a little bit above that to the low ribs, like on the bones. You could always cross your arms, or just if it's comfortable, you could rest your hands and elbows down. And we're just going to try to feel when you inhale, can you feel that your rib cage is expanding out to the sides? And then when you exhale, let's exhale long out your mouth, like you're blowing out through a straw slowly. And let's do that a couple more times. So all you're feeling for is on the inhale, are you getting any movement through the ribs? And if you're not, could you focus there and try to? And then as you exhale, you're just exhaling, getting all the breath out, getting down to the very bottom of your breath. Let's do a few more. And then when you're ready to, you could let go with the hands, but you could continue to breathe like that, or you can transition to exhaling out your nose instead of your mouth. And let's start to pelvic rock. So we'll just do the exhale to press down the low back, down to the floor, and the inhale will rock the pelvis forward so you've got a low back curve, and repeat. And let's focus on how much movement you're getting through your pelvis and low back, and what amount feels good to you. And also on engaging the core as you exhale and press the low back down. Like maybe you can feel as though you're zipping up, like you've got a fly, you're zipping up from the pelvic floor all the way to the belly button on that exhale. And just notice what that feels like. That may be something familiar to you and it may not. So just play around with it and notice what that's like. We'll do a few more there. Good. And now just come to what you think is neutral, so sort of between those two. And we'll spread the arms out to the side. And let's separate the knees and the feet about the width of a yoga mat. And slowly begin to windshield wiper the knees side to side. So they both go one side and then the other. And let's pay particular attention to the hips as you do that. And of course, you guys, with foot stuff going on, you can, and ankle, You can also notice as you do this, how does this feel across the bottoms of your feet? How does this feel in your ankles and your knees? And then come back to the hips. Good, now let's come back to the center. And we're just gonna take the feet back to about hips distance and straighten out the left leg on the floor. And most of you have done this with me before. You're just gonna have your arms wherever they want them to be. Let's slowly press into the right foot. And the right knee, when you do that, kind of moves forward in space toward the toe. And it's like you're lifting the right hip off the floor a little bit and then setting it back down. So if you had on pockets on the back of your pants, like jean pockets or something, you would be lifting that right pocket would come off of the floor and then it would lower back down. And we're just noticing how this feels in your low back and hips, around the sacrum area. And then you could start to go a little further. So you could lift, depending on how your feet are doing, you could lift the right heel off the floor. So you'll notice when you do that, the belly will turn more toward the left and then come back down. And it's just a rocking motion. You're going a little bit further and back down. You can even start to do it so you start to roll onto your left side. So as you do that, you press down and you let your right arm come off the floor, roll onto your left side, and then you slowly lower yourself back down and do a couple of those. Just like you're rolling over in bed or something, or rolling over on your side to push up. One more. Good, and then let's come back to the center and we'll bend both knees. And just notice how the two sides feel, the leg, the knee, the hip, the low back. Is there any difference? And then let's straighten out both legs and do the same thing. Just the awareness on your right side compared to your left. And then let's inhale, bending your left knee. We're going to start very small, same thing. So it's like you're just pressing into the left foot, the left knee moves forward in space, left back pocket would be coming off the floor, belly's turning slightly to the right, and then you're rocking it back down again and again. And you're noticing just any difference side to side in your low back, in your pelvis area, your sacrum area. And then you can start to make it a little bit bigger by maybe pushing a little bit more, lifting the heel off the floor perhaps, and rocking back down. Noticing what that's like, that kind of twisting motion. Good, okay, now let's start the roll to your side. So you do the same thing and then let the left arm come around to the side, like you're rolling over and back down, and again. All right, one more. And back. And let's just straighten both legs on this time around and notice the two sides. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. Now we're going to stay with our legs straight, arms at your sides, and let's inhale, flex the right ankle. So you pull the toes toward the shin, exhale, relax it. Then inhale, flex the left ankle, exhale, relax. And now let's inhale, flex both ankles at the same time, and exhale, relax. And now again, right ankle flexes, exhale, relax. Inhale, left ankle flexes, exhale, relax. Inhale, both ankles flex, exhale, relax. We're going to add some arms. So inhale, right ankle flexes as left arm reaches overhead toward the floor above you. Exhale, ankle relaxes, arm comes down. Inhale, left ankle, right arm. Exhale, bring them down. And now all four at the same time, and arms go overhead. And exhale down. And then let's do that 2 more times on your own. So you're just doing opposite sides and then all together, and trying to match your breath a bit with it. Good. And when you finish up your 2 times, just let the ankles fall open, let the arms relax for a moment. No rush, and breathe. Good. And then when you're ready, let's inhale both arms overhead. Exhale, right knee in, give it a squeeze. Good. We're going to hold that knee with your left hand and extend the right arm out to the side. Okay. Let's inhale as you start to roll toward a twist, bringing the knee across your body. Right hip comes off. And then exhale, roll back. And off the floor is what I meant, not off your body. Okay, so inhale, bring the knee across toward a twist, any amount, and exhale, roll it back. You might progressively be going a little deeper into a twist, or you may find you need to keep this really small. It just depends on how your low back and hips are feeling. Okay. Good. We're just going to do one more. And this time when you come back, let's hold behind the leg, hold behind the knee in the center. You can bend your left leg and put your foot on the floor, or you can keep it straight, either way. And inhale, straighten that leg up, and exhale, bend, and repeat a few times. And we're going to do a little bit of a sciatic nerve floss. So if your sciatic nerve is already flared up, I don't think any of you here have that going on right now, but if you are, then you're going to, instead of listening to what I'm saying, you're just going to keep the ankle relaxed. Okay, but if you're not flared up, let's do this. Let's straighten the leg up toward the ceiling with the ankle relaxed on the inhale. And then let's flex the ankle as you bend the knee on the exhale. Okay, so we're inhaling, straightening it, relaxed ankle, and we're exhaling, flexing it, bent as you come down. Okay, another one of those. Now we're going to just switch it. So now as you straighten it, let's keep the ankle flexed, and as you bend the knee, relax the ankle. Okay, and repeat that 2 more times. And just noticing how this feels, how it changes the stretch, perhaps. Okay, now next time you straighten it, maybe you want to leave it straight and see how that feels. And if you're leaving it straight, you might try to roll the ankle around and keep breathing, relaxing your jaw. It's amazing how tight our ankles and feet get. I just did a really big backpacking trip this weekend, so I'm noticing a lot of tightness here. I'm going to reverse directions. Keep breathing. Good. And now let's bend the knee, foot to the floor, and let's straighten out both legs on the floor. And just notice the difference in the 2 sides. Following your breath in and out. My 2 sides feel quite different. All right, so we're going to inhale, take arms overhead. And as you exhale, bringing the left knee in, give it a squeeze. Okay, now we're going to hold that knee with your right hand, extend left arm to side. And on your inhale, let's start the twist. So you bring the knee across any amount. Left pocket, left hip comes off floor. Exhale, back to center. I'm going to do this a few times. Noticing if this side is any different. Good. Then coming back to the center, we're going to hold behind the leg and we'll bend the right knee or not. Okay, up to you. And inhale first, just a couple of bend and straightenings of the leg, any way you want your ankle. And again, if you've got sciatica going on, like a flare up of sciatica, it's not that you get it sometimes, but that it's flared right now, then you might just want to keep doing it whatever way feels like not too intense. Otherwise, we're going to do a little nerve floss, which is good for sciatica as long as it's not flared up, okay? So we're going to go up with the relaxed ankle and then exhale, flex the ankle as you bend the knee. And if you go slowly on this, you might really notice how it changes the stretch. It might just change the area of the stretch. Now, the next time you bend the knee with the flexed ankle, let's now go up with the flexed ankle. Ooh, that changes it for me. And then relax the ankle coming down. And then if you want to leave it up there, you might roll the ankle a couple times in one direction, a couple times in the other direction. Good, and now let's bend the knee, foot to the floor, and straighten out the leg. Just notice the two sides, following your breath in, and just taking a sigh, breathing out. All right, now we're going to bend the knees, setting up for bridge pose. So if you have anything big behind your head, you might need to take it out of the way. Just depends on how much your chin goes up. So when my head's on the floor, I'm looking for my chin and my forehead to be about on the same plane, a neutral neck, rather than up like this. If the chin goes up like this, you might need a blanket or a pillow below your head. All right, feet about hips distance, arms relaxed somewhere at your sides. And we're just going to inhale and first press into the feet and lift those hips off the floor, engaging your glutes. And exhale, come back down. And we're just going to repeat these straight up like an elevator, hips go up and straight down, noticing how this feels on your low back, your legs, what muscles you feel working. Okay, now next time you come down, let's pause for a moment and just notice. Okay, now we're going to try it a different way. We're going to try to come up sequentially up the spine. So we'll inhale here and exhale, press your low back down to the floor. And then as you inhale, start to lengthen your tail towards your knees as you start to peel your low back up off the floor, your hips first, then the low back, maybe the mid back. And then slowly lower back down, reversing that. Now, of course, if doing it this way bothers your back, then do it the first way if that felt better, okay? Otherwise, you're just working on noticing as you come up, really engaging those glutes, and noticing as you come down. So we're taking the hips in this case into hip extension. This is called hip extension when the hips are pressing forward like this and the leg would be going behind you if you were standing up or something or on your belly. So you might find you have a lot of hip extension or that it might be more challenging to really tuck the tail as you do this. Okay, next time you come down, let's windshield viper, opening the arms. The knees go side to side, feet are wide. Now let's try something with our windshield wipers. When you come back to the center the next time, let's let the right knee fall out to the side without the left knee going, and then come back to center and repeat. And so we're paying attention here to how far does your right knee, or will your right knee fall out to the side without the hips moving to the side? Okay. And is there any pain here, right? Does this aggravate your hip? Do you have to modify it? Okay, so that's external rotation of the hip. Now let's do the left side. So same thing, the external only. Notice if there's any difference in the two sides. And there could be that one hip is tighter or injured or has arthritis. It could also be a low back thing that gets in the way, right? So there could be various things that make it different side to side. Okay, now come back to center. Now we're just going to do the internal. So you might have to take your feet a little wider, okay, to have space. So now I'm going to take my right knee and drop it inward toward the left foot a little or a lot and come back up. Just see how this feels through your knee, through your hip and thigh. So that's internal rotation as you're going down. Okay, and now we'll do the left side, same thing. Okay, so now the left knee drops in toward the right ankle and back up. And you're just noticing, is there a difference in the two sides? Okay, and then coming back up from that, now we will lie on whatever side you can see me better. And you're probably going to need your head and neck support for this. Well, you may or you may not. I'm actually not going to use it. I forgot that I changed my mind on what I was going to do. But you will need, for sure, something to put your top knee on. So a block, a pillow, a blanket, so that when you're on your side, your knee is on that thing, and my hips are stacked. Okay. And then I'm going to put, so you see how my neck is kind of hanging on, like hanging down? This might not feel good to you. In that case, you would want your blanket. Okay. My bottom hand is going to hold the knee. So I kind of have to scoop my shoulder. It's going to just hold that knee there. My top hand, my opposite hand from the side I'm on, is going to come behind my head. Okay. Now I'm going to inhale. I might need to adjust where my knee is. I just wanted to bring it closer to my belly. I'm going to inhale and open up my elbow, the top elbow, toward the floor on the opposite side. And then as I exhale, I'm going to exhale and I lift my head off the floor. You may or may not do that. And I'm going to round my upper back, taking my elbow to the floor on the same side where my knee is, but of course above it. And then I'm going to repeat. So as I inhale, I carry my head back to the floor. I open that top elbow toward the floor. And then as I exhale, I come around and round, elbow toward floor. Keep going. So we're working a little bit toward mid and upper spine here. And I'm trying to keep that knee stable, but even though I know I'm supposed to do that, I'm finding that my block is rocking back. So I am moving it. I'm going to try to keep it more stable so I isolate my spine. Okay, so next time you open up toward the ceiling, just slowly release your hand from behind your head, come onto your back with your knees bent, and just notice how that felt in your body. Take a breath or two. You can always bring knees into chest if that feels better. It's kind of giving a reset. And then you can roll onto your other side or you can flip your body around to whatever feels easier for you. Top knee on the block, okay, or pillow, bottom hand on that knee, top hand behind your head. Inhale as you open, taking your head and chest toward the ceiling, elbow toward the floor. Exhale, you're rounding as I lift my head and bring my elbow toward the floor on the other side. Nose comes toward the floor, and repeat. Just notice if it's any different on this side. For me, it's not as tight as the first side. I'm noticing because my knee isn't wanting to rock back as it did on the other side. And try to relax through your neck and your jaw. So you're not cranking your neck all around here, just kind of carrying it and guiding it with your arm. So this is a big shoulder opener as well, as I'm sure you're feeling as you open up toward the ceiling. And then the next one, you could stay toward the ceiling for a moment and then release and come onto your back with your knees bent. Let's draw your knees in towards your belly. You might rock or make circles. Good. And then to come up onto hands and knees, you could either rock yourself up, curling into a little ball, or you could roll to your side to come up. Okay. And let's do a little bit of rocking and rolling if it will work on your body. So I'm going to show a way to do it that can be very gentle. And I'm going to take my blanket, just for some padding, I open it up on my mat. So you can do that and then sit in front of it. I'm going to get myself with my feet on the floor in front of me. If you can't do this, you could cat and cow, but I recommend trying it. It builds good flexion through the spine and some functional core strength. So I've got my hands behind my knees and my elbows out to the side. And what I'm going to try to do is, could I roll back a little ways? You don't have to go very far, and come back up. So you can roll back just a little ways and come back up. Now remember, round things roll. So if you're not making your back round, it won't work. And if it hurts for you to make your back round, then do something different, okay? Otherwise, you're trying to do it. You can add momentum. See how I'm using my feet to add momentum? That makes it easier. If you want it to be harder, to use more core, then try not to swing your feet and just stabilize yourself with your core. Okay, a couple more. Okay, and then we'll come up and onto our hands and knees. If you can't bear weight on your knees, you can do this seated in a chair or seated on the floor. We're just doing some cats and cows now. So we're going to inhale, tail up, chest forward, exhale and round. Now, if you're having trouble bearing weight on your wrists, another way to do this would be to have your elbows on the blocks. You could put them on the floor too. I feel like it works a little better on the blocks. Okay, so either on hands or forearms. Now we're going to try it a little more sequential. So could you come to whatever you think neutral is and just tuck the tail under and then untuck it? So I'm going to round just my tail under. Of course, my low back's going a little bit too because they're all connected, but I'm focusing on my tail tucking under, my tail lifting. And you can do this with the breath. It doesn't matter when you do the in and when you do the exhale. Okay, now let's go a little further up the spine into the low back. It'll be tempting to go higher. So think of belly button pulling up, belly button going down, belly button up, belly button down. Okay, now let's go from tailbone, belly button, and now chest goes up, and then start with your tail, tilt it up, then low back, and just keep breathing. Then belly goes down, then chest goes down. And repeat. So you're trying to do it sequentially, there's no U in there, and try to, like we did with bridge pose, you can even get the neck in there. Okay, now from here, we're going to have a seat. So you can sit however you want, even in a chair. You can sit up on a pillow. We're going to work with our feet just a little bit. So you can let's take your right foot, and if you can't reach your foot with your hand because of a mobility issue in the hip or the knee, then you could get a ball and roll your foot out instead. Okay, so if this doesn't work for you, then try to find a ball so you can massage your foot. Just roll on it. Okay, what I'm going to do is take my left hand and I put my fingers of my left hand, so I take the palm to face the sole of the foot. I'm gonna put the fingers in between the toes as far down as I can get them. Okay, I mean, within reason, without pain. You know, mine easily go all the way down, but most people are going to be tighter, okay? And then I'm just going back and forth, loosening up my forefoot, back and forth, back and forth. Keep breathing. And you guys with foot pain, you've got different types of foot pain, right? So just you're working within a range, whether you have arthritis or neuropathy or something else, you're working within a range where you're trying to create mobility, but not a flare up of your pain. So you're just being gentle. And some people won't need to be gentle. Okay, and then you can try to spread the fingers out. So spread them wide. Good. And then you can slip the hand out of there. Now we're just going to take our thumbs to the sole of the foot and just rub the foot. So I'm just going up and down the center. You can go down the toes as well. And again, notice what your foot wants, and you're looking at it too, okay? I'm giving yourself some foot love here. You can take your hands on either side of the forefoot, the front of the foot. So I'm holding it, my thumbs are on the bottom, and now I'm just going back and forth. Now wiggling that foot side to side, or the forefoot. And then you can also come to the heel and just kind of move the heel around, forward, back, side to side. Keep breathing. Good. All right, and then you can just straighten the leg out in front. Try to spread those toes out if you can on their own. Notice the color of your foot and how it feels compared to the other foot. And so by color, I just mean there might be a color change slightly just from getting some circulation in there. There may or may not. Mine doesn't look like it's any different than the other one. Okay, so you may or may not. Let's bring the other foot in. Take your sole of foot to opposite palm of hand. Spread the toes and get those fingers down in there. Good. Just notice how this side is for you. And here we're just mobilizing that forefoot, like you're extending the toes, bringing them toward the foot, the top of the foot, and then you're flexing the toes, bringing them down, right? Just up and down, up and down. Keep your breathing going. Good. And then you can try to spread the fingers out, widening the toes. Good. This is really good for bunions and a lot of foot problems, actually, not just bunions, is like getting the foot to have more space between the toes. Okay, then letting go, and now we'll massage, just thumbs down the sole of the foot. And you can get shoes that have more space in the midfoot, the forefoot area. That's really good. A wider toe box is helpful. And that can help with low back issues too. Some people even say neck issues. I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not sure. But it's not a bad experiment to try. Helping your feet can help your whole body. Then you can take your hands on either side of the forefoot, and now it's just like I'm bringing one hand forward, one hand back. So I'm moving it in a different way. Good. And then you can also do the heel a little bit. You can notice there can be you might have to stabilize the foot with the other hand, but you can move the heel side to side and forward and back. Good. And then we'll let go and take the legs out in front and try to spread the toes. And for a moment, just notice, try to feel your feet. Not think about them, but just feel. How do they feel right now? Follow breath in and out. All right, we're gonna come into a standing position. You can, if you got socks on, you might put them back on or leave them off, either way. And coming all the way up, you can use your bear get up. Rise up to standing. me get my chair here. Okay. You can take your arms up toward the ceiling. And then exhale. Bring them out and down. Good. And again, inhale, going up. And exhale. Down. Good. All right, then just shake things out a little bit. And let's do some bounces. So just like you're on a little mini trampoline. And now, you know, you can always pad this a lot, right? So you can add some blankets below your feet if your feet hurt. Or it also is just nice for balance to have different types of surfaces. Right? You can also hop if you want. See how that feels. How does that feel on your feet? Okay, and then pause. Notice how your feet feel right now. Following your breath in and out. Okay, let's work on the Ujjayi breathing. That's the victory breath. And we'll start with inhaling through the nose, exhaling out through pursed lips, just like we did in the beginning, okay, on our back. So just inhale through the nose. And if you want to, you can do arms. You don't have to. Okay, I'll show arms. So I'm just going to inhale through my nose. And then I'm going to exhale, blowing out like I'm blowing out through a straw, slowly. Trying to make my exhale longer. That's going to be the purpose of this, okay? So you're going to inhale. You don't have to be in time with me. You're going to be in time with your own breath. Let's do one more like that. Good. And then if you've been doing the arms, just take a break for a moment. And now we'll do the fogging up your glasses or a mirror breath. So it's like you inhale through your nose and you make that sound again. You can do arms or not. Maybe with your arms, you could do inhale, open to the sides, and bring the hands to prayer. Right? So it's just inhale. And again, purpose is to make that breath long. Maybe you can get that little sound. One more. Good. And then pause with the palms touching. It's called Anjali Mudra. And you might think of something you're grateful for today. Notice how that feels in your body when you're focusing on gratitude. Okay, now we'll try the Ujjayi breathing. You could always do one of the others that we've just practiced. Ujjayi means victory. Okay, that's just the Sanskrit for it. So this one is you're doing the same thing you just did with the but you're seeing if you could do it with your mouth closed. But make that sound. So it's like you're blowing out your nose, of course, but it feels like you're sighing against the back of your lips. All right. And just try, you could try without the arms if you want. You do constrict the throat on the inhale as well, but it's a little harder for people to do that. So even if you get a little bit, and you're trying to get all the air out. And and keep going, as with any pranayama, which means breath control or prana control, if it's making you stressed out or clench or get more constricted, just let it go and breathe normally, okay? There's no requirement that you do it. This is meant to kind of lengthen the exhale. And perhaps through that, if you keep lengthening the exhale over time, it should down-regulate your heart rate and your blood pressure, or it could. Okay, that's usually the biological result. It might also create a little warmth in your system. You know, just see how you react. Okay, now you can stay with that breathing or not, okay? So you can use any of those breathing techniques or you can stick with just a natural breath. Let's take the feet about as wide as your shoulders and do some side bends. And you can inhale going down and exhale up or the opposite. And as you're doing this, let's feel with your hands the texture of your clothing and just where you are on your leg. There's no goal in this to get down far. And seeing what feels okay in your low back. Good, and now let's come up to the center, and you can have your feet any distance for this. We're just gonna swing and twist. And you might stick with the Ujjayi breath, or as you turn, you might blow strongly out your mouth. If it bothers your knees, something to check in with is you lift the heel, the back heel, if you want to. Might feel better. Also might get you around further. Okay, coming back to the center now. If you have a wall available, use a wall or a something that you could push into that's about as high as your hips. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and if you don't have that, you could use your chair instead. But what I'm going to do is come to the wall and I'm going to push my hands. And this, like my wrists are flexed, are extended. And to push into the wall like a chair down dog. But I'm going to push, push, push and reach my hips away from the wall. And I might need to bend my knees so it's not so tight on my legs. If my legs are tight, I should say. I'm going to try to straighten the arms all the way. And then feel as though you're reaching the top of your head toward the wall at the same time as you extend your tail away. And it's perfectly fine to have knees bent. In fact, most people probably should. Good. Okay, now let's slightly round if it feels okay so that you can walk toward your wall or furniture, whatever you're using, and let the arms come down at your sides. So it's nice to kind of push into something sometime with that downward facing dog pose. And it just gives a different kind of feeling and work with your shoulders and the whole system. All right, coming away from the wall now, let's notice how you feel on your feet. And just start to grab the floor with your toes, like you're kneading, like a cat would do with its paws. And see how that feels. Good. And then we're going to start to lift the heels on the inhale and exhale, lower the heels. And if you want to, you can rock back on the heels like that. So I'll lift up the sole of my feet. Okay. You might go all over the place, especially if you're looking around like me. Okay. And you can also add arms. You could inhale up, exhale, rock back. Okay. Then coming down, now I'm going to stretch the top of one of my feet. So I've got my foot back, top of the foot is on the floor. Breathing in and out. And in and out. Good. And just noticing how the front of your foot and ankle feel, and then go to the other side. So if you notice that is really hard for you, which is common, I recommend doing this every single day. Work with your feet, okay? The ankles get very tight and it can end up messing with the way that you walk. All right, so it's really important to keep these ankles strong and mobile. Okay, then coming off of that, I can't believe it's this late already. I guess we started a little late. Let's just step onto our mats if you have it, and we're going to use our chair for this. And the way I'm going to have you do this one is, let's use the back side of your chair, and let's put it, I'll mirror you guys for this one. Well, regardless, let's put your right foot so it's turned toward the back of your chair, and your left foot is going to step wide and kick the heel back. Okay, so it looks like a warrior two pose. And I'm going to put a little bend in that right knee. And when I bend it, I'm just noticing, is my foot totally caving in and my knee caving in? Or am I able to open it up? And if you can't open it up, you might just not turn the foot out as wide, right? You might walk that foot closer to this end of this edge of the mat. Okay, so see what works, all right? And then let's straighten the leg if you can and take your hands to your hips. Okay. And I've got an old-fashioned teapot or something with two handles. I'm going to inhale. It's like tip that teapot over by tilting the hips and then come back up. And please notice how this is feeling around your hips and your low back. Okay. Now, if you are very tight in your front leg there, like, wow, you notice, oh, I'm really feeling it, or you're really tight around your pelvis, putting some bend in that front knee. In fact, just try it and notice you'll get more movement around that head of the femur as the pelvis rotates if you've got the knee bent. Okay, so you're leaning with that elbow, but what's really happening is my two hip bones, one's going up, right? I'm touching my two high points of my hips, and one's going down. Now, the next time you lean, let's stay there and place your hand on the back of your chair. So this is triangle pose. But we're going to also, if you want to go further, like say it feels fine, I want to do more here, what you could do is slide your chair further away. So you'll notice I'm not doing this. I'm not trying to go down to the floor like this. Not that that's bad or anything. It's just not what we're doing. We're trying to get this length. Make sure that bottom shoulder is away from your ear. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice how it feels on your low back. You might find if it doesn't feel good that you need to face your belly toward the floor a little bit more. Bend the knee more. Okay, good. One more breath. And now you can look down at that right foot, bend the knee, and press into your heel to push up. Good. And we're just going to change sides. You can move your chair, or you could turn your body. Whoops. All right. So left foot is going to face the chair. Right heel kicks back. Put a little bend and just notice the orientation of the knee and decide if you want to change the position of that left foot to either come more this way or not turn out as far, okay? And then kick that right heel back, hands to hips. Leg can be straight or a little bent. And you're going to tip so that right hip is coming higher than the left as you tip. If you're doing it with a straight front leg, try to do it with a little bend and just notice the difference. If you get any more movement, if it feels better in any way. And now the next time you tip, let's stay there. And if it feels okay, you can put your arm in the chair. So if you might need to stay right here or even higher, okay? Or you might want to go deeper, in which case you push that chair away, or you could walk further away from it. Try to engage, I didn't mention this on the other side, I probably should have, engaging the abdominal muscles on your exhales, just kind of feeling support here through your core, feeling the balls and heels of both feet. And notice, like, does one side triangle feel better than the other on your low back? Good, now we're gonna bend that front knee, push into the heel and rise up. Going to turn the feet parallel. You can either face your chair or not. We're going to forward fold. Okay, so like you could get your chair seat or back in front of you and do it like this, right? Or you could put hands on floor or any other thing you've got around. And I'm just going to sway the hips a little bit side to side or bend the knees if you want to. Try to let your neck go. For some people, it might feel better to reach forward with the spine. Others, it might feel better to fold downward. Wiggle your toes. Good. Now, some of you might be able to come down through a squat. So you might inhale, reach your chest forward, and exhale as you wiggle your feet closer to one another. You might begin to bend the knees and come down. Now, you might not be able to go very far. You might need a mat behind your knees. You might need a mat or a rolled up blanket below your heels. Or you could take a couple blocks and come down and sit on it. Sit on a couple blocks stacked up, right? So you've got a few options here of what you can try to do. If you're able to squat without knee pain or other pain increasing, then do that for a few breaths. Like give yourself the challenge of being in a squat if you're able to do it without knee pain. Good. Otherwise, you can be here on the blocks. Same thing, okay? Good. A couple more breaths there. Good. And now we're going to transition to the floor onto our backs. If you have a block, let's have that nearby. If you don't, you could use a rolled up towel or blanket for supported bridge pose. Okay, so I'm going to come down and just like we did bridge before, I'm going to lift my hips up and slide a block on the low level, or it could be the medium, or you could use, like I said, a firm couple of pillows or blankets rolled up. And just let yourself kind of rock on your sacrum a little bit and pelvis. So the sacrum is that triangular shaped bone between the two halves of your pelvis. This is the bottom of your spine that's above your tailbone. But these vertebrae are fused together. It seems like one big bone there. And you know those SI joints can get a little pesky. And there's also lots of just stuff connected there. Muscles and tendons and ligaments all in there, right? A lot of stuff going on. You just kind of rock. Then you might find center. Move your shoulder blades down your back. Arms can be however you want. Just notice how it feels here. If this bothers your back, don't do it. It can come down really low on a folded blanket or nothing at all. Let's follow the breath in, maybe for a count of 4. And then try breathing out longer. You might do the pursed lip thing, or even the humming breath where you, I know that doesn't come across on Zoom really well, but it's just a hum all the way out. Or you could use the Ujjayi breathing. You could even, after you do a few with feet down, you could even take legs up if you want. Either one or both legs toward the ceiling. Now, feel free to stay here longer if you'd like. You can transition out anytime you're ready. After you slide your prop out of the way and slowly lower, it might feel good to bring knees into your belly or to do some twisting, right? Some windshield wipers or similar. You can try to tune into your body and see, what do I want to do? Or do you just want to lie down into Shavasana or take legs over your chair? I'm going to take legs over my chair. Like get your props, your blanket, if you want. Arrange your shoulders, they're away from your ears. Place your arms wherever they feel best. Allow the legs to feel like they can let go. Okay, so not having to hold them up in any way. And now we let go of that breath control. So to do that, you might just sigh a couple times. And if you're not sure how you want your arms, you could try a different position. You could put them on your body, you could spread them out. And then feeling as though you could let go to gravity, letting go of effort. And try to get a feel for your whole body. What does it feel like right now, as though you were feeling it from the inside out?